Another video. Look like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her infamous 22 number to a new one.
Team USA just made a move that has basketball fans absolutely losing it. They're making Caitlin Clark give up her legendary number 22, the same number she wore throughout her historic college career and her entire run in the WNBA so far. The reaction? Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And now it's starting to look like Team USA may have just stepped directly onto the biggest controversy in women's basketball. Before we even dive into this mess, drop a comment. Do you think Caitlin should have been allowed to keep her 22? Or is this just how Team USA operates? Because once you hear what I'm about to explain, your opinion might shift real fast.
Because we ultimately know she was snubbed from the cover of Team USA, and not only is they snubbing her, the disrespect is continuing because it's looking like Team USA is forcing Caitlin Clark to change her number. Now this article has come out.
All right, so let's break down what just happened here, because this is one of those situations where you seriously have to question if anyone at Team USA headquarters stopped to think this through. Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in women's basketball right now, the player who nearly single-handedly brought millions of new fans into the sport, is being forced to change her jersey number for Team USA training camp. Not requested, not suggested, forced. And the number they're switching her to is 17. Yeah, 17. A number that carries absolutely no meaning to her, her supporters, or the legacy she's built.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a very creative person. I was born on January 22nd, so it's what I went with when I was about 5 years old. So
now, before we go any further, let's establish something really important here. Caitlin Clark's number 22 isn't just a number, it's a brand, it's an identity. It's the number she wore when she shattered Pete Maravich's all-time college scoring record. It's the number she wore when she carried Iowa to back-to-back national championship games. It's the number she wore throughout her entire college career as she turned herself into a household name. And it's the number she's been wearing with the Indiana Fever as she continues to dominate at the professional level. That number 22 is just as recognizable in women's basketball as 23 is in men's basketball. When you see 22 on a women's basketball jersey, you instantly think of Caitlin Clark. That's not opinion, that's fact.
To be made, the Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark, number 22 is the most recognizable number in women's sports right now. There's no argument to be made. There's no case to be made. Caitlin Clark, number 22, is the most recognizable number for any.
But apparently, Team USA didn't get that message. Or worse, they got it and decided they simply didn't care. Because when the roster for the December training camp in North Carolina was announced, there it was in plain black and white. Caitlin Clark, number 17, not 22, 17, and the basketball world completely lost its mind. Here's where this gets even more ridiculous. When you look at the full training camp roster, guess what? Nobody else is wearing 22. The number is completely available. It's not like Aja Wilson is on this roster wearing 22, and they had to choose between two players. It's not like there's some longtime Team USA veteran who's been using that number for years and has seniority. The number is sitting there completely unused and they still made Caitlin switch. Make that make sense. Go ahead, I'll wait. The only explanation anyone can come up with is that Team USA has some rigid rule about number assignments based on seniority or prior Team USA experience, or some bureaucratic tradition that puts outdated systems ahead of common sense. And that kind of thinking is exactly what gets organizations into trouble, because while they're congratulating themselves for following the rules, they're completely missing the bigger picture of what Caitlin Clark actually represents to the sport.
Say Caitlin Clark to wear number 17 at Team USA training camp. On December 24th, news broke that Caitlin Clark will be taking a part in the training, which that's what we talked about at the beginning of the video. Now, this right here this came out this came out on the 24th. So these are the numbers, man. So head on over to Twitter and check this out real quick. So this is what was released right here. It says Lauren Betts. Hold on, here's the ages. Where's the number? Here we go, right here. So these are the numbers. Caitlin Clark. Let me blow this all the way up, man. I want to blow this all the way up so y'all can see this. So as y'all can see there, man, how did Caitlin Clark number will be changed? So who's wearing 22? Or if you guys remember, Michael Jordan wore number 45 in the Olympics. Could Caitlin, because it don't look like no one's wearing number 22. It don't look like no one's wearing number 22.
Let's talk about the optics of this for a second. This is the same Team USA organization that left Caitlin off the Olympic roster earlier this year, right? The same organization that claimed they were prioritizing experience and veteran leadership while the entire basketball world watched in disbelief as the biggest star in women's basketball got left out. And now, when they finally bring her into the picture for a training camp, the very first thing they do is take away her iconic number. Yeah, that's not a good look. In fact, that's a terrible look. It's the kind of decision that makes people think Team USA either doesn't understand Caitlin's value to the sport, or worse, that they understand it perfectly and are actively trying to reduce it. Because here's the reality that Team USA seems to be ignoring. Caitlin Clark is bigger than Team USA right now. That's not meant as disrespect to Team USA or to any of the other incredible players who've worn the red, white, and blue. It's simply acknowledging the unprecedented impact Caitlin has had on women's basketball over the last few years. She's brought millions of new eyeballs to the sport. She's filled arenas that used to sit half empty. She's turned women's college basketball and the WNBA into must-watch television, and a massive part of that identity is that number 22 on her back. So when Team USA forces her to change that number, even if it's only for a training camp, they're essentially telling all of those new fans she brought into the sport that their connection to her doesn't matter. That the brand she built doesn't matter, that the identity she created doesn't matter, because Team USA has rules, and rules are rules, and who cares if those rules make absolutely no sense in this specific situation. And let's be honest about something else. This isn't only about Caitlin Clark's personal feelings or her branding. This is about maximizing the commercial power of women's basketball, because whether Team USA wants to admit it or not, Caitlin Clark in a number 22 Team USA jersey would sell merch at an insane level. Parents would line up to buy those jerseys for their daughters who idolize her. Fans would want that collectible item that connects her legendary college and WNBA career with her international career. But Caitlin Clark in a number 17 Team USA jersey is going to confuse people. It creates a weird disconnect between the player they know and love and the uniform she's wearing. And that disconnect will cost Team USA money, whether they recognize it now or feel it later. Some people might argue that this is just how international basketball operates, that FIBA has rules, that Team USA has traditions, and that no single player is bigger than the team. And under normal circumstances, that argument might make sense. But these aren't normal circumstances. We're not talking about a normal player. We're talking about someone who has fundamentally changed the landscape of women's basketball. Someone who has brought unprecedented attention and revenue to the sport. Someone who, whether Team USA likes it or not, is the face of women's basketball in America right now. And the backlash has been exactly what you'd expect. Social media erupted the second the roster with numbers dropped. Fans were furious. Analysts were confused. Even people who rarely follow women's basketball were weighing in on how ridiculous this decision looked. From the outside, it simply appears that Team USA is going out of its way to complicate things for its biggest star. What makes this even more frustrating is that Team USA had the perfect opportunity to handle this differently. After the Olympic snub earlier this year, they had a chance to show they understood Caitlin's importance to the sport and to the national program. They could have welcomed her into training camp publicly, given her the respect she's earned, and let her wear the number that defines her career. Instead, they did the opposite. They treated her like just another name on the roster, enforced rigid rules without any regard for context, and created yet another controversy that makes them look disconnected. And here's something else Team USA probably isn't thinking about. This December training camp is going to get massive media attention, not because of the camp itself, but because Caitlin Clark will be there. Reporters are going to ask about the number change. Fans are going to comment on it. And every single article about this camp is going to mention that Caitlin had to give up her iconic 22. That's not the storyline Team USA wants, but it's the storyline they created. And you also have to wonder how all of this is playing out behind the scenes. Because while Caitlin is clearly a team first player who will do whatever is asked of her, you can't convince me she's happy about this. And you definitely can't convince me that her agent is happy about this. Section 6, and you also can't convince me that her sponsors, the companies who've invested millions into the Caitlin Clark brand built around that number 22, are happy about this either. This is exactly the kind of decision that creates unnecessary tension and quiet resentment, even if nobody dares to say it publicly. And let's talk about the other players on this roster for a moment. How do you think they feel watching this happen? Because on one hand, no player wants to be seen as the person who complains about jersey numbers and looks entitled. But on the other hand, if you're a veteran Team USA player, you're watching your organization push away the biggest star in women's basketball over something as small and avoidable as a jersey number. And you have to wonder if that's really the battle they want to fight, because these players understand better than anyone that Caitlin Clark's popularity benefits all of them. When she brings new fans to women's basketball, those fans don't only watch Caitlin, they start following the entire league. They learn the names of other players, they buy tickets to other games. A rising tide lifts all boats, and Caitlin Clark is the biggest tide women's basketball has ever seen. The comparison to A'ja Wilson is also worth addressing because it came up in several articles about this situation. A'ja also wears number 22 for the Las Vegas Aces, and people questioned how Team USA would handle it if both players wanted the same number, but here's the key difference. A'ja Wilson has been a Team USA cornerstone for years. She's an Olympic gold medalist. She has seniority in the program. If a conflict had actually existed between A'ja and Caitlin over number 22, you could at least understand the logic of giving it to A'ja based on her history with the team. But A'ja isn't even on this training camp roster. That makes the entire debate irrelevant. What's most revealing is how this decision reflects Team USA's overall approach to Caitlin Clark. From the outside, it looks like they're trying to treat her like any other player, which sounds respectable in theory, but is completely detached from reality in practice. Caitlin Clark is not just another player, and at the end of the day, this isn't just about a jersey number. It's about respect, branding, and whether Team USA truly understands the moment they're standing in right now. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the game anymore. She's changing the game, and moves like this only raise one question: are they helping grow women's basketball or holding it back?